House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer urging Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to use a $908 billion bipartisan stimulus plan as the basis for relief talks. Ilan Mui joins us now with more. But, Ilan, this is something that McConnell has already said, forget it, he's not going to use.
Well, that is true, Becky, but there is growing bipartisan support from both sides of the aisle for using that framework as a way to just get back to the bargaining table. As you mentioned, Pelosi and Schumer have gotten behind this plan. In a joint statement, they said that there is room for improvement, but that the need to act is immediate. And we believe with good faith negotiations, we could come to an agreement. The number 2 Democrat in the House, Steny Hoyer, went even further and said that lawmakers could potentially strike a deal as soon as this weekend, though he did acknowledge that's pretty optimistic. Still, a number of prominent Republican senators have sounded hopeful as well. Senator John Thune called it a move in the right direction. John Cornyn described it as a major change, and Shelley Moore Capito said outright that she would support it. But McConnell has said that those ideas may not hold muster because he's pointing out that the only plan that has a green light from the White House right now is the smaller package that he circulated earlier this week.
In the last several days, the Democratic leaders have signaled a new willingness to engage in good faith. And yesterday, a number of Senate Democrats proposed a different compromise. But at the risk of repeating something we all know, Mr. President, making law will require not just the Senate's approval, but also the signature of the President of the United States.
Now, guys, McConnell did say that if a deal were to be struck, it could pass along some type of government funding bill. Back to you.
Ilan, it almost seems disingenuous to say that it's the president who's been holding things up to this point, because it's been Mitch McConnell that's been holding things up from the point where there were the discussions happening between the Democrats and Steven Mnuchin. Is that really the case? Is it the White House that is pushing back and saying, no, we're not going to do this at that point? Or is there still a number of hardcore Republicans who say, no, it's the $500 billion plan that we had already passed? I mean, nothing's going to make its way to the Senate floor unless Mitch McConnell says, OK, we'll take a vote on it.
Yeah, well, Becky, first I would say that we would all agree there's a fair amount of blame to go around on all sides. But the sort of parsing of the words that I took from what McConnell said is that this is the plan the White House would support. But is this the only plan that the White House would support? And I think that's part of the conversation that Pelosi was having with Mnuchin. And certainly Mnuchin has been briefed on this framework as well, and, you know, sort of gave his thoughts and some guidance into what might possibly go into it. So there are still a ways to go in these negotiations, but this is the first time we've really seen both Democrats and sort of Republicans break off and say, we're willing to do something else. Democrats are willing to go below $2 trillion, and Republicans saying, this larger package sounds like a good idea. So what we're hearing is that no one thinks that the framework as it is currently put out is going to pass as is. They are planning to put out some sort of legislative text possibly as soon as next week. But it is a start, and it gives them a way to sort of break that logjam, and it gives them permission to start going back to the table with a new set of parameters.
Ilan, very quickly, is this something that could be passed in time for the government funding law? When does that have to happen? December 11th?
December 11th, but the question right now is, Becky, is the government going to be funded on December 11th? So there are a lot of moving pieces to this, and we will see if there's a full spending bill that gets passed or if they kick the can down the road and just pass a short-term stopgap measure again.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.